Perfect.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Spiritual Reddit Stories. I'm your podcast host, Olivia Jade, pagan priestess, psychic medium, healer, and facilitator, and this week I'll be reading stories about Loki from the r/Lokean subreddit. Loki is the trickster god of illusions and chaos from the Norse pantheon. He tends to be misunderstood and gets mixed reviews from the pagan community, but I've worked with him personally and will be sharing my own experiences at the end of this episode, so stick around for those. Okay, so we're just going to dive right in. We have a couple stories here for us today to read together, and this was posted a year ago of me recording this, and it's titled, How Did You Realize Loki Was Reaching Out to You? Hi there. I've been in a bit of limbo with spirituality and religion recently and have felt quite disconnected and almost quote-unquote desperate to find a reconnection with something. I'm 22 now, never really done any occult-like things, prayers or altars, though I have done quote-unquote basic tarot for over a year now. In my frustrations with trying to find a connection, I've tried a few different methodologies, or mythologies. Egyptian gods were my first focus, trying to connect with Iset and Sekhmet, but unfortunately I did not feel much bond back, and this is in parentheses. Perhaps maybe I was being too basic. I don't have much of the traditional resources or room required to work with much. End parentheses. Moved on to Hecate from Greek mythology, and again couldn't feel much. It was frustrating because I felt alone and like I had no one to really guide me. Then I started to reflect on my childhood. See, I've always been fixated on mythology as a whole from all parts of the globe. It was one of my first special interests as a young autistic kid. As I remembered out of all the gods I used to learn about, I did have a lot of dreams involving Loki. It was nothing too deep, but he would always be on the roof just outside my childhood bedroom window trying to lift me through my troubles. Never any other scenario. It was always outside the window. I recently learned Loki tends to attract those who are outcasts, and I was massively outcasted as a kid, heavily bullied and going through other traumas during that period of my life. Unfortunately, despite the comfort in those dreams, it remained a really bad place for me for a few years after. But for someone like me who doesn't generally dream a lot, he was kind of in them a lot. But at the same time, I don't know if it's just coincidence and I was manifesting some sort of comfort, or if it truly was a message from him. In parentheses, there's a part of me that wants to be skeptic, and maybe that's why I have trouble feeling attached to the previous deities I attempted to offer devotion to. End parentheses. Even if I don't get him in my dreams anymore nowadays, I still feel rather connected to him and his stories. It's like an odd sense of relief whenever he passes through my mind. And I wonder if maybe that was a sign that he was the guide I needed all along. What do you think? How do you know Loki reached out to you? And if you think he was trying to tell me something, how can I reconnect with him and thank him for trying to get me through that really terrible time and more troubled times ahead? Okay, sorry guys, I did kind of pause in the middle of that because I was stopping myself from commenting. I figured I'm going to read the whole thing and then I will save comments for the end. So kind of going back to that section up there, sorry if that was a little awkward, about the childhood bedroom window dreams. That's so sweet. I love that so much. And before we get into the comment section, I am just going to kind of reflect on this as somebody who has experience with this. I've been studying and practicing the craft for 7.5, almost 8 years now. Oh my gosh, time has flown. I'm so grateful and blessed to have worked with and talked to a bunch of different pagans across communities, including Norse pagans, and those are the types of people who really resonate with the Norse pantheon, and so they tend to really only work with those deities. And so, in my opinion, I think that this is definitely communication from Loki in a way that could be received, and received not only from a place of comfort, but also clarity of like, hey, like he was literally leveling with this person in a intimate setting relatively, you know, right outside the window. You know, the whole world is just beyond the window, whatever that phrase is. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. And so not only was he kind of there to be like, hey, I think he was there to be like, I see you, especially as this person was bullied and identifies as autistic and has that going on for them. And so Loki is somebody who definitely does help people who are different and people who are outcast by others, to strengthen them, to show them that these things about them that people might reject them for aren't a curse, it's actually a strength. And so let's see now what these comments have to say. Okay, yeah, so as I'm looking at this, just for some clarity, because Loki is so fluid and has appeared in different forms throughout their mythology. Some people use he, him pronouns and some people use they, them pronouns. I use both. He's just so kind of fluid like that. And so some of these comments will use whatever pronouns they feel resonate with them to use for Loki. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out really quick. And so one of these comments says, personally, I've always felt very connected to him too. Same reasons, being an outcast and then getting into mythology as a teen, but never reached out then. I think that's a typo, but never reached out back then. To me, all things Loki related started suddenly piling up once I began my spiritual journey. Like my TikTok For You page was never spiritual, and suddenly I had 3 of those Loki is trying to reach out to you videos in a row. Okay, now that's cool. They continue by saying, kept ignoring it until a few days ago I decided to just try and reach him. I broke down in tears immediately, feeling so welcomed and loved all of a sudden. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, they continue by saying, I think he's been reaching for you all the time. If you've already dreamt of him, sounds a lot like he was there to watch out and give you some comfort, understanding how you felt. If you're ready, try reaching back out to him, and I hope it will be as rewarding as it is for you, for so many of us. He's incredibly patient and loving, next to a bit chaotic, haha, which I agree. And so OP actually responded to this saying, thank you, with a little smiley face. I did actually reach out to them, like I said, the pronoun thing, shortly after my post through tarot, whilst burning a candle and wearing a serpent ring. With the spread I used, the cards given to me made it seem like, and these are in bullet points, he's been watching me grow and will continue to do so. Second bullet point, they cannot give me solid answers, closure, or conclusion on why bad things happen, but is willing to help me overcome how these things negatively affect me and conquer the challenges. And then the third bullet point, they gave me 8 of Wands, which to me makes it feel like which he can and will dedicate to guiding me through, like, okay, how much can you push that message through? It feels like he knows I'm somewhat skeptical and has to force it down my throat until I accept it, lol. And they continue by saying, and then when I asked one last question of, is it really just Loki, or are there others? I got the 8 of Pentacles, which screamed, yes, you're working with me. And like a little, like a tearing up emoji. That quite literally made my jaw drop. I left a piece of chocolate for him as thanks. Oh my gosh, I hope that we'll get into some of these offerings that people leave Loki, because reading some of these stories on the subreddit, guys, it's so freaking hilarious. We might get into it, so maybe I won't spoil it, but he's just, the chaos is everywhere. I'll just say that. He will take okay, I'm gonna be careful. I'm not gonna speak for him necessarily, but I mean, he takes very, very quirky things and very much enjoys them as offerings. So, okay, another reply to this is, that's so beautiful, wow. Yes, I believe he tends to shove us the info that he's there right in the face, haha. He spelled his name in a burned paper for me, LMAO. Whoa, that's crazy. They said, they continued by saying, insane stuff. I was skeptical at first too, but he just knows how to do it. I'm so happy that you found a connection to him now. He's gonna be a great help. He might bring chaos into your life, as it is what changes things, and Loki is never stagnant, but he'll also be there to hold your hand through and help you grow stronger. Oh, that's so sweet. And then the same person actually responded kind of in this same sort of comment thread. They said, I sat down with the candle, stared at it, and then just began talking to him until I clearly felt his presence and then ended up crying. He went as far as guiding me through a little ritual I've never done before. I talked about it on the Reddit too, because that was a huge first impression he made. Everyone does it differently. Some use tarot or runes too. I'd say go with whatever feels right to you. He'll go with the flow. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. See, this is what I have heard other people refer to as appointments with spirit. And these are impromptu things, these downloads, instructions, steps, I guess I could say, that come through as sort of like a literal improv sacred ceremony, but it's not improv because you're being guided in the moment. So it sounds like they had a very similar kind of thing. Other people are mentioning animals like vultures. Saw a ton of vultures everywhere I went. And whoa, okay, this is so specific. There are a lot of comments here, so I'm not going to spend too much time for the sake of time and the other stories. But this is just, oh my gosh, I was going through this and this is just so wild. I can't ignore it and I want to share it with you guys. So another reply to this post was, I was getting into Hellenic polytheism at first because I felt this pull to worship, but didn't know what deity exactly was reaching out to me. Then I saw this TikTok that was like, if you're seeing this, a Greek god isn't reaching out to you. They're from another pantheon. And I was like, okay, let me do a tarot poll. I kept asking for signs, and I'd say things like, if it's Loki, I'll pull so-and-so card. And the card would come flying out immediately with the crying face emoji. I was still skeptical though, so I asked for another sign and dreamed of a man turning into a snake. So that sealed the deal. Are you kidding me? That's like amazing! Yes, no, people who know Loki and have really had these really powerful encounters with him, we love him, we do. Like, he's just wow. Yeah, snakes and spiders, yeah. So cool. And so we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next story here. And this is a pretty short one, but they have pictures of candles here. Holy crap. Okay, so this post was made a year ago and it's titled, They Seemed Relieved, ... And there's 5 candles in this picture in the dark on a plate. So picture it in your mind with me. I'm describing it to you like it's a book. And the farthest candle on the left, the flame, guys, it looks like it is 4 inches tall. I am not exaggerating. That is, wow. So, okay. This person says, long story short, depression had its way with me, and I was kind of bedridden for a long time, and everything mattered nothing to me. I would give Loki offerings every few days, but nothing else, until last night. The full moon did something to me, and I suddenly found myself cleaning up my bedroom and taking a warm and much-needed shower in the middle of the night. Then, when I was sitting down after everything was done, just staring at the rain falling outside my window, I felt the need to light up his candles, and when I did, this happened. So that's the picture I described. They continue by saying, that one candle went crazy and I just laughed. I felt relief wash over me because I was scared Loki would be, I don't know, maybe mad that I disappeared for so long, but it didn't feel like that. All I felt was relieved and a little happy. That's amazing. See, Loki shows up to us when we are ignoring something, or when we are being called towards a massive transition or a change. And sometimes this can, like, please, if you're ever in doubt, please seek professional mental health help. I am not a mental health professional, but from the spiritual perspective, I can say from my own experience very lightly and gently that we sometimes are experiencing symptoms of depression and anxiety and this bedridden kind of thing when we are on the precipice of something really, really big, and our body kind of almost can't handle it in a way and kind of gets overwhelmed. And so sometimes that happens. And so, wow, my gosh, what a powerful way to Loki show up for this, for Loki to show up to this person and have them clean their space, especially because when you are in a state like that, it's hard to do that. But energy can kind of get stuck there and can almost kind of sometimes make you feel worse. And so it's so hard because it's like, oh my gosh, I literally cannot. But then it's like energy is almost kind of festering in the physical environment that is piling up with stuff. And so Loki totally swooped in, giving them this energy and this motivation to light the candles and also take the shower, like different layers of cleansing and clearing from the looks of it. That is amazing and so cool. It was definitely a beautiful reset for them probably. So let's see. There is a comment here, just one or two, but I'm just going to read this one. From my personal experience, Loki is very much a concerned dad, and we are his adopted children. He is there, especially when things are difficult. All we need to do is ask. That's so sweet. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's it for this one. This is so beautiful. This is why God is real. This is why gods are real and deities and goddesses. It's all divine energy from the eternal light realm collective. So they are here for us. They're always guiding us. And even when we kind of get into deeper, darker spouts of humanness, what comes with being human, right? These densities that sometimes we experience, they are there for us, and they can totally just like come right through, lift us up, and make those adjustments for us energetically and help us out. So that's really, really freaking cool. We're going to go ahead and move right along to this next story, also from a year ago. And it's called A Message and Reminder for Lokeans. Loki loves you fiercely, in all caps. Such a love fest with these people. I love people who also work with Loki. Everybody's just so cool. So, okay, they say, I wanted to share this story from about a month ago. I hope it reaches at least one person who really needs it. A little backstory, Loki has been me my entire life, as I've had a crazy one without much human support. In parentheses, hail Loki for swooping up us societal outcasts, with the smiling, crying face emojis like happy tears. End parentheses, we are also God spoused since 7/13 of this year. Okay, sorry. I am going to stop just really quick to explain what God spousing is. So this is a concept that is, I don't want to call it controversial because it really shouldn't be. Your relationship with God, with deities, with spirit, whatever you want to call it, is your business and your business alone. But what I I say that because when you look up the term God spouse, you will get very intense opinions about it. But me, as a practitioner and as somebody who has looked at multiple accounts and multiple stories of people who identify as having this kind of relationship with the deity, is that it's kind of like it's a devoted, special kind of commitment to service and acknowledgement of them. And so sometimes people will have rings or pieces of jewelry that they wear all the time that they kind of charge or bless in that deity's presence to kind of show or be a symbol of togetherness and devotion. But it's really just what I've heard a lot of people say is it's a special level of commitment, and it's usually lifelong. So worshiping and working with them, acknowledging them, celebrating them, giving offerings, and just kind of having them be a very much a focal point in their spiritual life, if not their life in general. So let me go on and continue with this. So the post goes on by saying, I was recently admitted to a psychiatric hospital, which has happened more times in my life than I can count. This time there were a lot of external factors that were outside of my control that were contributing to this. I don't share too many personal details, but it's been very traumatizing. I won't share too many personal details, but it's been very traumatizing. I have a necklace with Loki's runes that I never take off. When I admitted, When I was admitted, I had to take it off because we weren't allowed to wear jewelry. But before that, the day before I got admitted and when I got there, in parentheses, and before I had to take the necklace off, in parentheses, the necklace was vibrating intensely, and every time I was outside, I was surrounded by flies. But they weren't bothering me at all. They were just around me constantly in multiples. The fly is a symbol of Loki, and that'll actually come up again later. Anyway, when I was admitted to the hospital, when I had to take my necklace off, the staff who put it away for me put it in a little plastic cup, but nearly dropped it several times like it was wiggling out of their hand. And once the necklace was in the cup, it was moving around in the cup on its own, like it had some kind of electrical charge. I know that sounds insane, but that's Loki. No, seriously, I can agree with that. Oh my gosh. Save comments to the end. It's okay. Okay. So they continue on by saying, Loki has often demonstrated paranormal activity to scare people around me for my own protection. Some people would say that it's not Loki, but listen, I have been able to authentically trust very few people in my life, and Loki really doesn't F around when it comes to protecting me. I'm often a loner, but never without Loki. He taught me what love is, and his love is unlike anything else I've ever experienced. What I'm trying to say to you is, Loki is fierce, sometimes in ways some can't fully understand. Loki has been demonized a lot for some of the ways he behaves and unconventional methods of lesson. As someone else who is most often understood, I have always found solidarity and unity in this. Loki was there with me the whole time in the hospital, guiding me and protecting me and soothing me in moments I was scared, angry, sad, or confused. I love Lokean so much because I love Loki and because Loki loves you. You will all be just fine with a green heart and a red heart. Believe in yourself. You are so much stronger than you know. Trust yourself. You are so much more capable than others give you credit for. And love yourself. Please love yourself. Love yourself, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. Find something cinnamon and take a mindful bite, free of guilt and full of love for yourself and for Loki. Much love, much mischief, much laughter, purple heart, orange, bubble, dragon emoji. Love another with many names, flaming heart emoji, hail Loki, in all caps. Oh my goodness. This is so beautiful and so cute. So, okay, that's wild about the cup and the necklace, but I believe it. I really do. That's some powerful stuff. And I'm trying to see where, because I keep wanting to comment during, but then I'm like, oh no, I should hold the comments to the end. But then sometimes if it's something very specific, I forget. So, oh, I remember now. Okay, so the unconventional methods of lesson part, that's what I kind of wanted to talk about. And you guys will, I think it'll be very well demonstrated and shown in the section at the very end of this podcast where I talk about my experiences with him. Because, oh my gosh, that's what people kind of tend to judge him for, but especially the other gods. That's why they kind of, like the other Norse gods, the Aesir kind of dissociate from him nowadays, according to, the stories and how that all unfolded in the mythology, because they just don't agree with his methods of teaching. And then humans will interpret it in a bunch of different ways, like, oh, he's just serving his own interests, or like siphoning, blah, 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 demonic, blah, 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 like, And sometimes you need to, I don't know what phrase or saying to use for this, but it's like that really cool teacher that made you understand math in middle school, that taught in such a strange way, and they were kind of quirky, but like they made you get it for the first time ever. Does that make sense? Like, so that is very much Loki's teaching style, if I can say that. He will show you, and he will make you confront parts of yourself and even act out certain roles himself. This is something that I experienced directly, and I've seen other people talk about, where he will take on personas and act a certain way towards you so that it heals something in you. And then at the end, you kind of laugh and you get together like, oh, hee, good game, hee. It was just theater, because he was taking that on to have that cycle be closed, or for that like story to complete itself so that it could stop. Literally. But then people might mistake that as, oh no, he's gross. Oh no, he's actually like this. No, he's not. You know what I mean? So getting to these comments here, oh, to know Loki's love, Flaming Heart Orange Heart, it's wonderful. And then another one says, I can't say how much this touched and warmed my soul. Thank you. And to see all our collective love for Loki coming together in the comments. He truly is a wonderful god. Hail Loki in all caps. Sending you lots of good vibes and healing. Loki will take care of you. Stay strong. I hope you are well, my friend. And OP actually gives us a little bit of an update here in this reply, I would say. It makes me very happy to hear that, Greenheart. All the comments hailing Loki has been awesome. Last night I felt all that Loki love and got some Fireball, which is a type of alcohol that Loki likes, with the laughing face emoji, and had a little party with Loki and his family. Oh my gosh, that's so cute! Sending lots of good vibes and healing to you too, and also hope you are well. Vibrating heart, hail Loki. Yes, it's just a bunch of love in this comment section. It's so cute. Wow. Okay, so let's see. I'll just read one more here because they're just a lot, but I've always understood the concept of having faith and believing in something that may or may not be there, but I'd never felt it until I let Loki into my life. Now I sometimes worry I come across as too religious when I talk about him sometimes, lol. Loki and his children and wife will always have a place in my life. That's so pure and cute. I love that so much. And so we have a couple more stories here. This one is a short one, and it's from 9 months ago, and it's titled, Loki Can Be So Hilarious. Things have been rough. I'm definitely struggling and feel like I'm at a fork in the road. I still second guess that Loki is actually with me, but I talk to them a lot and hope they are with me. I hardly ever ask questions, but today I asked if there was a message or anything I needed to know. I'm really unsure of what I should do, so I asked. I threw on my very long, in parentheses, 39 hours, playlist on shuffle. The first song that came on was Rebel Rebel, and I laughed. I felt like Loki just wanted to listen to that Bowie song. It was pretty adorable. Next was Dreams. There's lots of talk about cleansing in that song, so I will sage my house. Loki is right, it's been a while. The part that made me laugh super hard was when I asked, anything else I need to know? I hit skip, and the opening lyrics of Miracle by, oh my gosh, I don't know how to pronounce this, Shervies played. I don't know this band, I'm sorry. Ask me no questions, I will tell you no lies. Careful what you wish for. I burst out laughing. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. So, the comments, yeah, that totally sounds like Loki, hugs. I know how rough it can be when life gets away from you. And then the other comment on this is, Loki's sense of humor always has me giggling, honestly, lol. Yeah, so music, messages, music divination. This is something that I also experienced with him, which again, we will get into it at the end. But I just love hearing people's accounts like this because it shows just how many ways Loki communicates with you, but also just deities in general. And it's usually unique to the person. So whatever is significant for you, however they can reach you, they're going to do that and use that because they have messages for you and they love you and they want to talk to you. So getting into the next one here, posted a year ago, called A Quest from Loki. And there's this picture of this really cool, 2 pictures actually, of this, I think they're going to get into it about what it is, but it's a stick wrapped in some leather, some beads, and a rune attached to it. So here is the post. Hello, dear Lokeans, with a snake emoji. I've had a fun day today, so I decided to share it with you. I've been bonding with Loki every day, just talking, hanging out, laughing. Honestly, just doing fun activities I'd do with a friend. Yesterday, I decided to make a playlist for him, asking which songs I should include with a pendulum or just adding songs that remind me of him with a wink D. So like a semicolon and a D. So like a open mouth winky face. But now for the main topic of this post, a quest from our mischievous lovely god. Today I lit up his candle to just vibe and spend time with him. I even tidied my room. in parentheses, which I never had motivation to do, but suddenly, bam, I got productive. Kind of similar to that other story we read, right? End parenthesis. And when I was done, I had this really strong urge to meditate. I swear I never felt this need so bad. So I asked Loki if he wants to show me something, and the answer was yes. After I got comfortable and into my meditation space, I got a vision. I was standing before a frozen lake, snow around, but also grass visible. I walked up to the ice to just glance at it, and there I saw someone's reflection behind me. I turned around and it was Loki. I asked him what was the thing he wanted to show me, and he smiled, then hugged me and said, "I'm so proud of you, kid." I could literally feel that hug, this warm and fuzzy feeling of proximity and acceptance rushing through me. Now, a few days ago, I had a bad day and just half-jokingly asked Loki if he would hug me, if he could. I got a yes response from a pendulum, so that made me feel better, and now that I received that hug, that was so sweet. After that, Loki invited me to sit down on the grass with him and just chill and look at the frozen surface of the lake before us. I sat down and just focused on my surroundings. Then I got a quick flash of a rune. I'm going to try to pronounce this. Laguz, to be specific. Then I really need to study that, how to pronounce all of them, you guys, because they're significant for me and they've shown up for me, and then I'm I need to just listen to a video where everybody's pronouncing them correctly. Anyway, then a realization hit me, the post continues. For the past days, I've had this strong feeling to go out into the nearby forest where a lake is, but I never did it since I was either too tired or it was too late to wander around the woods. But now I had the time, so I asked Loki if he wants me to go into the forest to the lake, and he nodded, patted my head and said yes, and to bring him a souvenir, quote unquote. After I was done with meditation, I instantly dressed up, took my pendulum to just carry it around in my pocket, and go out to the forest. I'm a lazy person that as much as loves nature, hates going out LMAO. I prefer to stay in my room and chill, but this time I just got so much motivation I didn't even think twice about it. I took my dog with me as well, because why not? And the moment I got into the forest, I noticed that my shoelace got untied. I bent down to tie it again, thinking how silly of me. And that's when I saw a branch in the snow right next to my foot that formed the Laguz rune. Ooh. So yeah, I had a great walk to the lake, found an oddly dry branch, weird enough since there was lots of snow, and soon got back home since it was starting to get dark. Since Loki asked me for a quote-unquote souvenir, I decided to give him that branch I took. I decorated it a bit, and that's how it turned out and how it looks on his altar. Oh, and to clarify, my altar for Loki is way bigger, and I'd love to show you after my statue for him arrives. Haha. Have a nice day /afternoon/night, and thank you for reading. Green heart, snake emoji. Ah, that is so sweet and so detailed and so cool. Again, meditative visions, hugs, branch, and taking this person being called to go to a place similar to that vision. Wow, that's really, really cool that it was in their mind and then also in real life. And so, let me see, I'm looking if there's anything else. Yeah, it's whatever you find, whatever you have laying around, even if it's seemingly random or whatever, Loki likes it. And they decorated this branch so beautifully. See, oh, okay, I see it now. So the branch is in the shape of this rune, and they also carved the rune into it where the shape kind of forms, and then they also attached this hang tag to it of wood with the rune on it as well. I hope this makes sense. And they have a snake necklace with a little bit of herbs on their altar, bracelet, snake statue, picture of Loki, rings. Wow, that's so cute. I love that so much. All of these comments here are pretty much just being oh, that's so cool, and cool branch, and nice altar, and again, Loki people it's just a love fest all the time, and I freaking love that. So, next story posted 9 months ago, titled, Loki Making Us Laugh. And it's a short one. Hello everyone. So I've been going through a stressful time lately since my husband has recently had surgery, parentheses, knee replacement. And just running around doing stuff, it's been wearing me out. So last night my roommate went to go to the bathroom and found it locked from the inside with no one in there. I tell my roommate to use the ensuite, and we proceed to try to find something to use to pick the lock. We finally get it open, parentheses, my next option was to hammer the knob off, by using a monkey hook to get it open. We've owned the house for 5 years, and it's never locked on its own before, and you have to push the doorknob in to lock it. There's really no reason it should have locked on its own, and it was tightly locked. That is wild. See, pranks, man. He's such a prankster. Haha. No, but he really is though. There is just one comment here. So he's definitely one to be straight up with us and can be rough in his lessons when we need change, but he's genuinely loving and will always meet us where we're at. From my understanding of how I feel, he doesn't judge and lets us embody ourselves in every form that comes through. He just guides us when we're not acknowledging the weight of our hubris or actions. And sometimes he'll let us walk that path ourselves and learn the hard way. I'm as stubborn as I am prideful and unyielding, so I get tons of wake-up calls that are hard to ignore with the sweat drop emoji. I need that and appreciate it dearly. I'm so grateful for this community, that this community exists where we can share experiences no matter how different or personal when it comes to our practice with Loki. Thank you so much for your post, little smiley face. Yeah, that will definitely get your attention. And the fact that their roommate was involved too is very, very interesting. So you can't just write it off like, oh, maybe that just didn't happen. Like gaslight yourself. No, there was this whole other person involved, like, what? Can't open the door right now. That's so freaking cool. I love that. I love signs from deities that are so physical, and signs from God and divine energy in general. It's like, you really, really, really can't ignore that. You can't write it off. I mean, you can try, but a door handle not turning and not opening is a door handle not turning and not opening with no explanation and no real way for it to do that on its own, right? So, next story. This is titled Loki Defended Me Tonight, and it was posted a year ago. The other night, I got into an argument with my ex. We are trying to remain friends, but he had an issue with me not understanding how something worked earlier that day. He thought I was faking it and said, quote, I am done sugarcoating this ish for you because we're not in a relationship anymore. You need to stop playing this cutesy dumb card. I don't believe it, unquote. I told him no, I'm not playing a, quote, cutesy dumb card. My brain just overcomplicates simple things sometimes, but he kept repeating himself in a really harsh tone and kept saying the cutesy dumb card thing over and over until I snapped and yelled at him. He yelled back and we sort of got into it. When I got home, I cried a bit and told Loki about it. I usually struggle to hold back emotions and carry things like that for long periods of time. Suddenly, I stopped crying and it was like a voice saying, he doesn't deserve your tears. Quote, I've never snapped out of an emotional fit like that before so immediately in my entire life. That night, my ex started getting random inconveniences, losing things, parentheses, and them being placed in random-ass places that make no sense, end parenthesis. Getting annoyed by flies, etc. The flies again, you guys. They continue by saying, this continued for days until today my ex told Loki something about, quote, fine, I'll do a reading with you. End quote. He relayed this message to me, so I called on Loki and asked what he had to say to my ex. The cards were Hermit, 10 of Wands reversed, Queen of Swords reversed, 4 of Wands, Hierophant reversed, and Moon. Since this all occurred after the argument, we understood this as Loki essentially telling him it's great you want to be friends, 4 of Wands, but you need to look inward and gain clarity, Hermit, not lash out and be harsher than needed, Queen of Swords reversed. You have pent-up frustration from sugarcoating everything during the almost 9-year relationship that needs release. I get it, 10 of Wands reversed, and you think that releasing the pattern of sugarcoating, Hierophant reversed, is the way to do it. However, this complete 180 is not it. Back off a bit. Say your piece, but dial it back, and assess your emotions. Assess why you are just being mean. Queen of Swords reversed and Moon. just little ways of showing he cares like that mean the effing world to me. He can be so loving and protective and so caring. I actually teared up from it. I love him so much. Hail Loki. Green heart crying face emoji. Wow, oh my gosh, see? Providing aid and almost like a point of understanding and intervention in this tense situation. So kind of looking at the comments here, it's just encouragement. That's really, really sweet. I hope you receive a miracle to help you through this hard time in your life. Don't ever give up on yourself. Sending love. Loki has been so supportive through it all. He is helping me find a strength in myself I didn't know I had. He's truly amazing and so transformative. I'm so grateful for him. Yes, people chiming in with their experiences. And so we have 2 more stories here, and then we are getting into, and I believe they're pretty, so this next one is short, but then this last one is kind of long-ish, and then I'm gonna tell you about my experiences. So this was posted 9 months ago. It is called So I Think I'm In. I reached out to him a few weeks ago and was told through divination that it wasn't time for us yet, and that there was some personal hurdle I had to deal with first. He alluded to a major life change approaching. Fast forward, and I've had a chaotic time with my graduation from grad school. It seems like I forgot 5 million things, and yet somehow through writing it out, everything goes perfectly despite the initial panic. The god I consider myself closest to, Father Prometheus, was close to me during this time, so I stopped to light a candle and chat at the altar after I got home. Then there's this second energy, and it feels a lot like Loki did the first time I spoke to him. So I give him the, "Oh, hello, good to see you. Are you just checking in, or..." So I tell him that if it's time, he can send me a sign. I'll even take one of his spiders. Wow. And then this post actually has no comments. So I think I'm in. I think that's so cute and funny. Yeah, see, oh my gosh, guys. My friend, who is a very talented psychic medium, he is a fabulous gay man, and he was telling me that Loki and Coyote tend to be a bit of a dynamic duo and cause mischief together. And so my friend was just minding his own dang business, and he's just trying to go about his day, and like he was in the middle of doing something, and then he feels these 2 presences come in, Loki and Coyote. He stops what he's doing and he just turns to them because they're just like being goofballs and just being crazy, and he's like, hello? Like, what's the meaning of this, basically? And they both said, like, I can picture it in my mind, that's why I'm trying to describe it. It's like so what I like to call zingy, of like, there's just, you can see the crazy in their eyes and they're just wired, you know what I mean? And so my friend told me that they both said to him in response, "We've come to visit." Just like that. "We've come to visit." And he's like, okay, like, it's so, and then they just, yeah, I don't know what happened after that. That was his story, but this reminds me of this person in this Reddit post just being like, "Hey, what's going on?" Like, and like, "Hey, I guess this means that we're like, have a cool relationship now." You know, I think that's so wholesome and adorable. So, final story here was posted a year ago, and it's called Loki Has No Chill and It's Funny. It's so true, you guys. Okay. They get into it by saying, "I wanted to share this because I've been working with Loki for a bit now since my last 2 posts. Been using that app still to communicate with him, and he's been hilarious but also harsh." Okay, so just real quick here, that app, I don't know what this person posted previously, but I'm guessing that it's like some type of EMF machine. There are credible EMF apps that have been recommended to me by paranormal investigators, and they have said that they work. So I'm assuming it's that, where basically, if you don't know what an EMF machine is, it's a machine that shifts, oh my gosh, it sifts through a bunch of different radio stations really, really quickly. and then you'll get words just kind of pop out super clearly in all the fizzle, static noises. And that is how spirits can kind of weave themselves into that technology and actually come through with words like that. So this person continues by saying, so firstly, me and my boyfriend had an argument. After that argument and doing a session with Loki, he asked how I was feeling. I wasn't too sure, but he comforted me by saying overwhelmed. That's just what they said in this post. I'm wondering if they mean, I wasn't too sure, but he comforted me. So maybe they're trying to say that Loki helped them identify what they were feeling because they weren't sure. Anyway, I agreed and he said it's difficult, and I agreed. My witch friend even confirmed that was him making sure I was okay. It was so sweet. However, all caps, the next day had a call from my boyfriend. He said he had night terrors about spiders, and he said when he woke up this morning, he said it felt like he got pushed. I immediately thought of Loki. I could hear a laugh. I immediately did a pendulum session. He confirmed he did it. I asked why. He said, disrespectful, quote. I then said, you can mess with him if he's being horrible, but don't hurt him. He agreed. Yesterday, my boyfriend was seeming off with me and was stressing me out a little. Goes downstairs with him. Solar panel flies off, lands on his car, completely wrecks it. All I feel was Loki's presence, like he was standing next to me, and a little voice going, oops. Looks down at my drink. A heart shape was there. Parentheses, I asked Loki to show me signs through hearts. Now, when it comes to friends, he really likes to make fun out of them. A friend of mine, he came over to mine to rant about his problems and whatnot. He put his rubbish on Loki's altar. I told him to remove it, but he was like, it's not real. Ugh, that's so disrespectful. So I pull up the app and showed it to my friend, left the app running, completely forgetting about it. Friend then continues to talk about how bad his mental health was. All of a sudden, poor geek comes through when my friend is trying to talk about something serious about his mental health and then move it away, assuming it was the rubbish he was talking. So I got up and moved it. Friend tried sitting directly next to me. App goes, move over. Friend moves away. Smells stupid. And I was like, oh God, you're not holding back. When my friend left, I asked Loki if that was him. Pendulum moved to yes. I said why, and he said, quote, humiliating, hilarious. Today, I went to my sister's and told her about Loki and showed her the app. Loki came through, I felt his presence. He seemed to like my sister. My sister was cooking pasta, and the app said, what is that? I'm unsure. And my sister said it was pasta. I am Italian, I should be able to pronounce this. Bolognese. And my sister said, quote, did you want some? Immediately it said, yeah. My sister was like shocked and looked at me, then said, I wonder if he knows where I am. It said kitchen. She hid behind me and freaked out, and I said, don't worry, he's fine. He just likes insulting me. Then stupid came through, and I said, see, just proves my point. My sister immediately shouted, don't call my sister stupid, and he went, witch. And I kept telling her that's how Loki is. Then when my nephew came running in, he said child. Been having some fun times with him, and I get along with him. That is so cool. So, okay, yes, in the comments, somebody asked, what app is that you use to communicate with? I'm a bit skeptical about using any ghost apps from the App Store, Google Store, since digital isn't always accurate and can be glitchy. I don't have enough money to spend on those ghost paranormal activity devices, unfortunately. I'm just wondering, which, yes, I can confirm, they start at $150 US. And a mid-tier, pretty solid one is upwards of $250. So it's like, that's a lot. So OP has a really, really long response to this, which actually has like cool stuff in it. So I'm going to read it. I use an app called GhostTube. I was quite skeptical of the app when I first used it because yes, it's just an app. What just spits out random words and then it manipulates it on what the spirit wants to say. And because it can just say random words, I make sure to also use other things when doing these sessions. Yes, I'm going to comment on this really quick before I continue reading this because having another form of verification, doing any kind of communication with spirits, whether it's free writing or scripting, some people like to call it, direct channeling with words, an EMF machine, whatever, have a secondary verification method. So that can be a pendulum, that can be muscle testing with your fingers, that can be a solar plexus body sway test. And I'm sure there are a couple others, but those are the ones that I have direct experience using. You could probably honestly also use some dowsing rods that you have a very close bond with to be a secondary verification method. And so they continue by saying, where'd I leave off? I use things such as EMF detector, what I got from Amazon for £10, and I use my pendulum and pendulum board and my tarot cards. Okay, so those are their secondary forms of verification there. The only reason why I know Loki likes using that app was because when I was using a pendulum board and the app, I asked if Loki was here. The pendulum board spun to yes quite fast. Then the app said snake, then crow. Then I shuffled the tarot decks, asked the same question. The magician and the fool came out. So whenever an answer does come through, I do use tarot and pendulum to confirm it. I asked why he likes the app, and it said easy, which indicated to me it was easy for him to communicate. When I asked that, pendulum said yes. They're laying out a really good example of how you would use both methods to make sure that it's a solid, accurate answer. They continue by saying, there were times where it would say, message for you. When I asked what his intentions were, and that's when I bring out the tarot decks, had the lover card, which indicated to me he wants a relationship/contract. Right before I could even say contract, the app said contract, and the pendulum swung to yes, so it was confirming what I was about to say. There has been time where a random words has come through, and Loki would confirm that wasn't him, so I know that's just the app being random. That's cool. I'm glad that he does that for them. They continue by saying, so when using the app, always make sure to use other objects. With pendulums, you can literally use a piece of paper, write yes, maybe, no, get a crystal necklace and just use it. So kind of like a makeshift DIY pendulum mat. And ask the spirits to swing to yes, maybe, and no, so you get an idea of how it communicates. That's what I used to do until I brought myself an actual pendulum board. So, yeah, and that's actually it for this. They kind of talk about that in that sort of comment thread there, but oh my goodness, that's it, you guys. And wow, we've been hanging out for like almost an hour at this point. So this is probably a good amount of time left for me to talk about my stories with Loki. So this happened a couple years ago when I was still going to university. And I was actually just about to go overseas to study abroad in Italy. So this was really, really interesting. I was working over the summer, and I work all year around, but I was working over the summer, and the introduction was almost kind of like an initiation in the sense of like, it became clear to me that, and I'm gonna kind of get into it, but his work with me, this arc, I like to call it, was an initiation so that I could alchemize the toxic traits in men I was still attracted to at the time. What did I say earlier about him kind of embodying certain characters, certain personas, so that you can confront different aspects of you or desires or shadows and close out cycles. So the very first thing I saw, and I'm going to get all into this, but I remember working over the summer, I pulled up to this big house, and it had this huge statue of 3 golden horses standing on their hind legs, all back to back. And that's so specific. And I looked it up later, and not only is gold kind of like a material of the gods, right? The horses, Loki has a whole story in his mythology about how, don't quote me on this, he transformed into a horse to like do something, and then he was impregnated by because his transformation was so complete, he was impregnated by a male horse. And so then, like, he has, like, many children in the mythology stories, of different forms and species even. And so he literally became a horse, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And so I saw these 3 horses, and I'm like, wow. So here's kind of where it gets into the whole alchemy aspect, because referencing and connecting this to the earlier story we read about the music divination, I had a bunch of very kind of sexual, dark music come up in the shuffle of playlists that had absolutely nothing to do with that. There were no other songs in there to, like, justify the recommendation of those darker sexual songs. And these songs, because music is a big part of my life, and so again, what did I say earlier about deities finding a way to connect with you in a way that resonates with you, and a way that the messages will come through, right? So it really struck a chord with me. I was like, oh wow, these songs are making me, like, kind of tuck my hair behind my ear a little bit. You know, like, this is, like, very dark and, like, kind of toxic, and, like, it started this process and this unraveling of some shadow aspects. So it's wild because I got to Italy, and as this music kept coming, I was almost kind of getting a little nervous, because this is my introduction to Loki after all, and as I mentioned earlier, people have had mixed reviews of him, you know, and so I was kind of like, well, yikes, is he genuinely trying to be dangerous right now? And I just don't know, because I've never had this happen before. So I remember I called him into a secure space. I had a session with him. I had my notebook out with a pencil all ready to channel him and write out what he was saying. And it was just kind of like me being like, hey, what's going on? And that's when the character kind of started. He said that he wanted a relationship with me, and he wanted to, like, he didn't use the term own me, but it was just, he was playing the part of what he was trying to help me release. Okay? I hope that makes sense. And so this all happened while I was in Italy. And so continuing on here, the next big thing I remember, this was crazy. So it was like 10:30 p.m. one night. I was trying to get ready for bed, and I had classes the next day, early in the morning. And so I remember, guys, I can't make this up, there was this housefly flying around my room, and I usually don't mind because, like, you know, they're just kind of on a wall or they're on the ceiling. This fly was in my face. It was buzzing around my ears and, like, swooping down over my head. And I don't really like bugs, and so it was not a fun time. I was like, ew, stop. Like, I don't like this. I was getting so upset because I was really tired and it was getting later and I really wanted to go to bed, but I was trying to chase this freaking fly out of my room. I finally get it out because I open the door, I'm chasing it around, it flies out the door, I slam the door shut. This is a very important detail. The doors in Europe, at least in the building that I was in, they are very, very flush against all the edges of the door frame. There is not a gap on any side, very much unlike doors in America. I mean, people who have been to or are familiar with, like, door frames and doors in America, I know that's a very specific thing, but there is a gap. Like, if you get down on your hands and knees and bring your face to the floor, you can probably see under it. You know what I mean? At least an inch, if not slightly higher. So I'm telling you, this door, no gaps. None. It was like a well-made door. It was totally, like, the wood paneling was, like, carved to the point where it was almost like a lip, I guess, you know? And so when the door was closed, there was, like, it was so close. Does that make sense? And so this fly crawls under the door. In between what gap? There was no gap. Like, what? And then, guys, I'm seeing this unfold. I look at the door, I'm looking at the floor because I see it crawl under it. And it just sits there for a second as if it's mocking me. And then it takes off in flight, and I'm chasing it again. And I'm like, oh my god, like, and so I chase it out again. This took at least 20 minutes. And once it flew out the second time, it didn't come back. So I was like, okay, he's letting me sleep now. So, another crazy story was I was literally leaving for a day trip, and they sell these cute little juices at the supermarkets there, and I remember trying to get my bag together and things like that, and I look over at my little smoothie container. It was in a little plastic bottle, and it's so strange because when I looked at it, it looked like as if a whole quarter of it was missing. And so I thought to myself, I don't even remember opening it or taking a sip, but I guess I wouldn't put it past myself. I'm kind of in a rush. Maybe I just don't remember drinking it, right? I get my stuff together. I'm going. I pick up this bottle, you guys, and I turn the cap thinking that, oh yeah, I drank from it before because the stuff was gone and it's going to be easy to turn. No, it cracks open like it's opening for the first time. It was not opened. And so I just look at it like, and actually, I'm trying to remember, Loki is the god of illusions, but I think, the juice had been, like, restored or whatever, so it wasn't like it was underfilled in process when they were manufacturing it. It was, like, back to normal, and so I thought to myself, he took my juice. That's, like, so funny. Oh my gosh, so funny, Let's see. This was kind of, like, the last sort of prank, that I remember, and oh my gosh, guys. I was at the gas pump getting gas, and this is so random, but I remember this has never freaking happened to me before. I was, going to pay, put my PIN in like normal, and it goes to the part where you select the type of gas you want. It automatically selected the middle tier immediately. I did not touch it, and I was like, and I was upset. I was like, gas is expensive. This was a couple of years ago, so I was like, oh my gosh, and in the north, too, northern United States. So I was like, gas is not freaking cheap. Even the cheapest, lowest tier is still a lot. So I was kind of upset. I was like, gas, money, And so, guys, ever since then, I select the cheapest option so fast. But I think to myself, I'm like, well, he could have been really, really mean and selected like premium, and that would have been like freaking $5 a gallon or something crazy like that. So, but in general, he'll joke with me, sometimes in an infuriating and naughty way, but he's actually pretty sincere. And now, don't let him know I said it. He'll deny it. Okay, he doesn't want people to know he's like secretly a softie or whatever to the people he works with, but for the people he works with. But yeah, so basically, okay, to kind of explain what I was getting into earlier, to kind of wrap this up here, eventually it came out because I had a bunch of dreams with him, and I had other dedicated sessions where I channeled messages from him. It came out eventually at the end of this arc, and I learned the stuff, and I confronted the shadows and the blah, 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 all the stuff. And the dreams were pretty intense too. I was lucid in most of them, and it was like a whole story he kind of took us through. It was really cool. It came out to where he finally kind of concluded and put the character away in like a slow clap. Like, that's it. Yep. That was all a facade for you, for your journey. So now he shows up whenever I'm ignoring something within, and he comes in very sparingly. At this point, I actually haven't seen him in a little bit. I would say maybe 3 months. But whenever he does come in, it is profound, and he has a very strong presence. I really poke fun at him a lot. We mess with each other. I call him my punching bag, and that might sound a little weird, but like it's all funny. See, we all have our own unique relationships with deities, especially Loki. Like, it's just chaos. And actually, I'm so glad I remembered this. Dang it, I don't know where that story went. I thought I saw it somewhere, but there was somebody who was talking about like introduction to working with Loki, basically offering their insights and some of the offerings he likes. He will take anything, pretty much. This person was describing their altar, and I just freaking loved it. Like, it really makes all the sense in the world. They have like a dinosaur plate and like a skull cup and like broken crayons on it and like plant medicine infused little, it wasn't even a full cookie, it was a half cookie, they said, and Loki just wanted it from them as they were in the middle of eating it. They're like, okay. And so like half bitten out of cookie, they put it on his dinosaur plate, and it's just so funny and cute. And like little toys, like little plastic dinosaurs and snakes and statues and art. He loves art, and it's just adorable. I don't think I've ever heard of any other deity that likes things that are so random, but it's also very endearing. Honestly, think about that. It's kind of inner child-esque. I think that's really, really adorable, honestly. So, oh my goodness, that is it for the very first episode. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for listening. I do plan on, if there are more stories that come out from the subreddits that I cover in this show, I will do like an r/blank part 2, part 3, part 4, because these are the figures that we love and we cherish, and they're kind of wild sometimes, and it's fun to read about them and hear about the ever-evolving encounters with them. So I will definitely be keeping an eye out on these platforms, and you can keep an eye on my platforms. Everything is linked in the show notes. Everything I got going on. I got an Etsy store. I almost said I'm launching a podcast. Yeah, this one. You know what? It's because I'm used to filming YouTube videos, where I say that. Oh my gosh, you hear my voice? I've been talking for over an hour, and it's kind of getting like weird and raspy now. But thank you so much for listening. If you love the show, rate the show. If you love the show, share the show. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.